Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Sharyl Attkisson, and this is our special year-end edition, bringing together, as we do every season, our Full Measure correspondents for a look back at some of our favorite reports and yours too. And Scott Thuman and Lisa Fletcher are here to join us for our last episode. Thank you for another fantastic year of reporting from around the world. And when we come back after a break, you're both going to tell us about some of the reporting we've all done on one of our greatest adversaries, China.
Yeah, and how they're investing billions of dollars in an area that some people say is a little too close for comfort for the United States. So we're going to take you there, and we'll show you how America may have taken its eye off the prize, and then China moved in.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about China's determination not stopping here on Earth, how they're looking at the moon and using strategic resources on the moon as their own.
All right, that sounds great. Those stories of China's impact on America and beyond up next. The case against Xi was ultimately dropped. He has a lawsuit pending against the government. Now, that's not to say there aren't some very real threats from China. There was an estimate that China is stealing up to $600 billion in U.S. trade secrets every year, and it's challenging the U.S. and around the globe in terms of its influence and what we need to really worry about, which you reported on, Scott.
Yeah, and we decided to follow the story when we started. So why is this happening? Partially because China tried this in Africa, saw it work, and just kept moving. And then the other reason, experts tell me, is because the U.S. was so focused on what was going on in places like Iraq and Afghanistan and investing so much time and resources there that they just kind of ignored our nearest neighbors.
Well, and Lisa, you reported how China's influence goes far beyond just Earth.
Oh, right. They've already launched their own space station, and they plan to develop resources on the moon and claim them as their own, both on the lunar landscape, and then they want to strategically harness solar power. The Pentagon has estimated that China will surpass U.S. capabilities in space by 2045, which is why there's a real push by some members of the military and Congress to further fund Space Force. Sources we spoke with say they're not underestimating China's ability to use their space program for both economic and military advantage.
Something really to watch. Yeah. Thanks a lot. And when we come back, one of the biggest and most important controversies facing us over energy in America. More from your report on liquid natural gas than I ever knew before. It was very eye-opening.
Well, we were trying to figure out why the cost of natural gas was up about a third last year for most Americans when the supply is so plentiful here in the United States. Another problem is a nearly 100-year-old law called the Jones Act. It restricts transport of cargo on ships between U.S. ports unless the ships are U.S.-owned, crewed, registered, and built. No ships like that exist for LNG, which is why we can't ship natural gas from Texas to New England on a tanker, and instead, places like Boston have to buy from overseas.
And then you, Scott, reported a fascinating story, another one that has a China tie, how minerals we desperately need here in the U.S. for practically everything we do are largely made or mined in China.
Sure, and we're talking about phones, laptops, electric vehicles. Most of those batteries, among other things, need cobalt. The U.S. sits on a pretty good amount of it, but we weren't doing much with them. We weren't mining it, and that made us more reliant on China. But in the past decade, there was an awakening. Things started to change. The U.S. realized it needed to do something, started mining, opened to mine for the first time in a very long time, and we got rare access to electric vehicles.
Very awesome. Don't go away. We're back in a moment with a few highlights from our travels that haven't been seen on TV. Back at Full Measure, and as we have traveled the world, we've really gotten a window on many fascinating cultures, scenics, and experiences, and we decided to close out today with some of those moments not seen on TV. For example, while reporting on the landmark gun control law in San Jose, California, I got the chance to try my marksmanship at the municipal gun.
Well, we were taking that drive to the cobalt mine that we showed you earlier. We were on our way from Utah to Idaho, off the beaten path, but it is really worth a visit.
That is so cool. And speaking of NASA, Lisa, you have shared with me that you are sort of a space geek. I am too.
Yes.
So tell me
we're
more.
Kindred spirits in
yes.
that regard. Anybody who's watched the show knows that I love doing stories on space. We had another chance to shoot at Kennedy Space Center this year. It was amazing, incredible, right? Because we get to do things that, you know, stimulate our natural interests and our curiosity, and it makes it even more fun.
Yeah, we're all very lucky.
Yeah. And we're lucky to have you guys reporting for us. I know the viewers feel that way. And that makes it a wrap for our 8th season on Full Measure. Hard to believe we started this program in 2015, and we never run out of great ideas for original investigative reporting. So we're pleased to announce we will be back for season 9 this fall. Yay. You can watch some of our best programs over the summer while we're off traveling, researching, and shooting news stories for you. And be sure to check out our new and improved website, fullmeasure.news. Again, thanks to Scott and Lisa and to the entire small but very talented Full Measure team that works tirelessly to bring meaningful, good journalism to you every week when it seems to be in such short supply. And thanks, Bat. See you in September.